And we are live. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Positive Power Hour.
Whoop
And
whoop Monday.
yay, happy Monday. That's my co host, Nicole. For those of you that don't know who might be watching on a recorded broadcast, for those of you that are live, welcome aboard. As you can see, I've got our tag down here about entrepreneurship is living a few years of your life like most people won't, so that you can spend the rest of your life like most people can't.
Right.
Right? And the reason that that is so important, oh, look at that. We've got some people on already. Kimberly's on. Yay. Thank you,
It's
Kimberly. Glad you're
Irene.
here. And Irene is there. Yay, Irene. Glad you're
Aw.
here. Welcome aboard. So, yes, I like to post entrepreneurship on here because I'm a firm believer in it. First of all, hi, Melly. Glad to see you're there too. Yay.
Hi.
I love the support that we get. And
Yes,
yes, they are mostly family and dear friends, but that's how you start, right?
that's right.
And before long, we hope to make this a very big thing. But the whole idea here is to keep us all on track, right? Are we heading in the direction we want to go in, or are we going down somebody else's direction? And that to me is what entrepreneurship is. My daughter is an entrepreneur. She's a real estate agent. So those of you that looking for a property or for a house, you know who to call, right? That's right. That's right. We got to get you a poster, a banner, so you can put your information on there, Nicole.
Oh, we'll do that.
Let's talk about that next week to where we get that set up for you. All right.
Sounds great.
Yeah, we'll post that up there once in a while too. So, and that's what she's doing is she's starting off with those first few years where you first get started. That's right, Melly, best agent around. Absolutely true. The thing I know about Nicole is that she will represent you right. She will have your best interests at heart because she knows if she takes good care of you, everything will be taken care of for her. So that's
And my negotiation skills are on point.
That's right. That's right. So living a few years of your life like most people won't, so that you can spend the rest of your life like most people can't.
That's right.
And it's never too late, right?
Right.
It's like we were at dinner with some family tonight, and we'll talk about that more later. But somebody mentioned that, and I mentioned that. Well, I'm at that age now where I really don't need to be running a Fortune 500 corporation. I don't need to be a millionaire. And one of the participants in the room said, "Well, it's too late for that." And I said, "No, it's not actually." Colonel Sanders didn't even start towards being a millionaire until he was in his 70s. So it's never too late. Besides that, what are you going to do with your life anyway? Why not work towards a goal you like, right? Instead of helping to realize somebody else's dream.
Yeah.
What happens when you're working for somebody else? You're realizing their dream.
And making that happen. Yep.
Yes. And good for you for that, I guess. But why not make your own dream come true, right? So anyway, that's enough about entrepreneurship for tonight. We'll always talk about it because I think it's really important, right? And I'm trying to get to the right place to get the banner off. There we are. And I will get over to comments here. And as Melinda says here, best agent around. Absolutely. She's an honest worker. She puts her heart and soul into it. I know she does. So I mentioned that we had a little family dinner tonight. And for those of you that don't know, who might be on the recording or just don't happen to know, Nicole and I share the same birthday, which to me is a very special thing, right?
Yes.
And we've had a connection forever that sometimes has been uncomfortable for my dear daughter and sometimes not so much, right? But that's okay because I could feel when she was in need of a phone call, and every time I do it, she goes, "Dang, how do you always know?" Right?
Yes.
But that's what dads do, right? And I think our connection makes it even more that way, right?
Yeah.
But it's very special to have a daughter like Nicole as my daughter. She is an amazing woman, and I am so proud of how she has turned her life into something very special and has raised very loving, kind, considerate children who are all very special in their own right. and great grandchildren. And before she knows it, she'll be a great grandmother, and I will just laugh my tuchus off.
Not too soon.
So yes, it's very special. But we got to celebrate it twice this year because some years we didn't get to celebrate it at all. So we kind of doubled up on it this year, right? So on Friday night, which is our actual birthday day, we went to our favorite restaurant, which is called The Mill here in Murrieta. And we've been going to, we were reflecting on it tonight that I've known the man that opened that restaurant for over 35 years, 33 years, something like that. And I've been going to two of his restaurants that he had ever since. And The Mill has been open for probably 29 years or something like that, right?
Wow.
And it's a real nice family atmosphere, and they always have awesome food, and we've always had a great time there. So I got to spend Friday night with my wonderful wife, Kate, and my beautiful daughter, Nicole. And we just got to have a lot of laughs and a lot of sharing. And it was just very nice, right?
Yes.
And, we talk a lot about drama and how we, once we get out of that drama loop, which seems so hard when you're in drama because it's hard, don't you know? Right? And everything is a crisis and a problem and all of those things. And then when you finally are able to pull your head out from your posterior and take a look around and realize that there really isn't anything to be all crazy over, right?
No.
Everything works out. My dear mentor, when he first met Kate, back in those days, which is more than 30 years ago now, right? I'd have to peel her off the ceiling because she would be so freaked out about, the rain that hit on Tuesday that I would constantly have to peel her off the ceiling and say, everything's okay. Everything will be all right. Well, don't worry. Everything will be okay. And George would just look at her and say, Kate, everything will turn out okay. Everything will be all right, And so she got that reinforcement from both of us all the time, right? And she's not like that anymore. I mean, I don't know how you could stay with a guy like this guy and stay peeled to the ceiling forever. I mean, something's got to start to chip in there sooner or later, right? But the dinner we had was no drama, right? It was just about happy and the nice things that are going on in life. And like Richard's playing baseball again, which is a wonderful thing, right? My great grandson, your grandson, who's got more talent in his baby finger than God put in my entire body.
Me too.
So, and those are the fun things, right? And here's a nice little comment from Melody. Grandma Kate is a lucky woman to be with a man like you. Oh, how kind of you. And no, I'm not paying you for that. Well, I'm lucky to have her too. I'm a little different, as anyone who knows me would tell you, a little different. And my views on things are not the way most people would think about them, right? And so Kate and I were talking about that this week because I haven't shared it on our site, but I can now. Kate was looking at having an extremely serious surgery. What they would actually be doing, Kate has what's called an esophageal stricture, which is the scarring and the lining of the esophagus, and inflammation that is so severe that sometimes she can't even drink water. And most times can't eat meals. There's just certain foods, some of them we can't even understand why it works for her, when something that's maybe even softer or more liquidy won't go down. But pizza, and particularly the Queen Margarita pizza at the Mill, has pesto and a lot of olive oil and a lot of cheese on it, right? And I suspect that it's probably the fat that's in the cheese and in the olive oil that allows it to go down okay, right? So this has been going on for years now, and she finally was recommended by her endoscopist. The what do you call it? What would that doctor be? Anyway, the doctor that performs the endoscopies suggested that she maybe needs to get this surgery, and set up an appointment for us to talk to the surgeon. So we went there today, and she was just the most intelligent, articulate, clear-minded, honest woman you could possibly have asked for. She was perfect for Kate and I, right? We could ask her anything and she would explain it in good detail to where you'd understand what and why, which to me is important. Don't just tell me what, tell me why, right? And she, we walked in and she said, well, you know, your doctor recommended you to have this surgery. And my position is, no, we don't do that. Because the side effects of doing the surgery, 70% of the time are worse than what you were dealing with before you had the surgery.
No bueno.
The surgery, if you've lost so much weight that you're at risk of dying. And the only time they really want to do the surgery is if it's got cancer involved, which to this point, we don't have that happening. So she was totally honest. You know, it's like the old story that when you're a hammer, everything looks like a nail, right? And if you're a surgeon, your solution to everything is cutting. That's what surgeons do, right? But this young lady was bright and clear-headed and operating from the right position, which is do no harm, which is what the Hippocratic Oath is about. Do no harm to your patients. And so she said, look, I really don't think this is the right direction for you. I think you need to maybe cut down on getting endoscopies. She was getting them every month, which is something they do to stretch out the throat. And but you're doing it every month, and I think that's probably too much. So I would suggest we stretch that out. And you know, if you're not having a problem with losing weight, then just keep doing what you're doing. It's obviously working, right? As we leave the hospital and we get in the car, Kate turns to me and says, I worried for nothing.
Yeah.
I said, yeah, that's exactly right. And, you know, Nicole, you've heard it forever, right? About, you know, how I view about worry. It's absolutely the most useless thing in the world, right?
Mm-hmm.
It gets absolutely nothing. It only takes. And if you have a situation going on in your life, especially in your health, worrying is the worst thing you can do because you're actually depleting your immune system and your emotional well-being, and you're actually creating the environment that causes illness, right?
Yep.
So why in the world would you do that if you have something going on? As our teacher told Kate one day, sister, now is when you need your faith the most.
Yes.
Right? We were going through, you know, the beginning of financial destruction, right? And she goes and talks to my spiritual teacher and says, you know, what's going to happen? You know, like he's going to tell her, or he even knows, right? But what he's clear about is the fact that worrying isn't going to make anything better.
That's right.
So faith is when things are going bad, that's when you need your faith the most. And that's when you can really tell just how anchored you are in your spirituality, right? How strong is your faith? It's easy to say, oh, I love God and I trust God and everything's going to be wonderful when things are going good. It's harder when things are going tough, right? But that's when you have to have that faith the most, right?
Yeah.
So that was such a wonderful thing for her to look at and say, oh, I worried for nothing. And she had herself spinning a little bit. I could feel it, right? And every once in a while I'd look over her and I'd say, so how are you doing, right? And she'd look at me like, yeah, you already know, don't you? Which of course I did, right? But that's the way, and that's the thing that we talk about a lot on our program here, is about getting your mind right, right? Pay attention to what you're thinking. Are you allowing your mind to feed you with fear and anxiety and a lack of faith? Is that the kind of thinking you're allowing your mind to do? If it is, let us know in the comments section, okay? Just give us a yep, I tend to do that. If you're a worrier, not warrior, worrier, give us a yes in the box there to let us know that, yep, I've got that tendency, all right? Because we got a lot of tips we can give you on how to stop worrying and start living, right? Somebody wrote a book about that once, actually. How to stop worrying and start living.
Yeah, I can start with one that I use a lot, actually. Well, I don't use it a lot now, but when I was going through the worry of jobs and whatnot, my good friend would tell me, hey, Nicole, okay, I know that's going to come up for you quite a bit, well, how about this? We'll set Tuesday at 10 o'clock as the time that you can think about it. Right. And that way, like the rest of the time, it's not Tuesday at 10 o'clock. We're not going to think about it today.
Right.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I'll take care of that on Tuesday because it comes up often, right? Yep.
And, and one of the things I mentioned to Kate, I said, look, stopping worrying isn't easy. If it was, everybody would have done it already, right? Yeah. But it really kind of goes back to this banner about living your life for a few years like most people won't, so that you can live the rest of your life like most people can't. It's the same thing with worry. It's the same thing with training your mind.
Yes.
Because most of us, and I know for a fact that my family didn't teach me to train my mind. And I was so self-consumed in the early years of my kids' upbringing that I showed them what worrying does for your mind, right? But I didn't have the wherewithal at that point to help them understand that they really have to take that responsibility to train their own mind. And if you don't do it, you're just chasing your tail. You're like a dog running in a circle trying to catch the tail and can never do it, right? You're trying to create this successful life, the successful marriage, the wonderful children, the Ozzie and Harriet kind of life, right? With a mind that's telling you you can't do it. So how do you think you're going to succeed? You can't. It's so hard. People that do succeed, that break out of the lower levels of life, like they grew up as orphans or grew up in an impoverished life and didn't have any of the tools that people more well-heeled, shall we say, get or have, or don't have those parents that have learned for themselves to train their mind, right? So those people, they're so rare. It's why they're the 1% that have all the money, right? Because they did the things that most of us aren't willing to do so that we can live the kind of life that most people can't, right? And so what we're offering for you here is a way to start moving in that direction in a much easier, softer way with the social with the, what's the word I'm looking for? With the emotional support you need and mental support you need, that positive energy that you need so much right here. We're here for you every week when Dan doesn't book something. But we're here for you, right? I mean, I put up my phone number every week. If you don't, if I don't cover something you really need to hear, give me a call. Just give me a call. We'll talk for a few minutes. I won't even charge you. Just give me a call, right? Why suffer? I mean, I have clients that would call me up after a while and they would say, "Oh God, I should have called you. I've been wrestling with this for weeks." And I go, "Yeah, well, why suffer unnecessary?" I can't even. unnecessarily, right?
Yes.
Just give me a call. I don't mind if I'm not able to take the call. I'll call you back. Just leave me a message, right?
Yep.
But you don't have to suffer. I'm into short-term suffering, right? Now, I could tell you that I never worry and I never have a negative thought, and that's all BS. But I'm not going to do that. Of course, there are times where something makes me for a minute, right? Or I will react in a way to something that I don't particularly like, the way I responded, right? But I won't spend weeks beating myself up over it, which is what I used to do, right? And Kate would tell you, and I think my daughter would tell you, that for an incredibly high percentage of the time, I'm in a very positive, happy place.
Yes, right? Absolutely.
Yeah. And what my wish is for every single person watching this, whether it's live or on YouTube or wherever you see it, we're going to be on Instagram soon. We're going to be doing all kinds of things, right? We want this to be a platform for you to go where you want to go, to get what you want to get, to create what you need to create, to let go of those things that are holding you back. And let me explain something to you. There is nothing out here. Where are we? Nothing out here that's holding you back. It's not your husband. It's not your wife. It's not your mother. It's not your boss. It's not the coworkers. It's right there. Exactly right. If you think it's outside of you, you've given up your power.
We have some people that responded here.
Nice. Let's go to those comments. We love having comments. So didn't we cover these? Yes, we got these. Do we have more than what I see?
No, I don't think we said anything about it.
We covered Kimberlyn, that she worries more often than she'd like to. And Melly saying, yes, I am a worrier.
Yes.
Now, let me ask you something, Melinda. Where did you learn to worry? Kimberlyn, where did you learn to worry?
You.
The point is, we talk about this quite often, don't we? Is that we can tell our children how to do things. We can yell at them. We can scream at them. We can give them the silent treatment. We can explain things once in a while. But what they're going to learn from the most is what they see.
Yes.
How we live as people. How we respond to crisis. How we respond to diversity, to events that go on in life, right? We teach our children much more by how we do things than by what we say or what we even try to teach, because words get in the way, right? And and the minute we go like this and say, you need to do this, whoop, the shields go up and nothing gets learned, right? So the most that, and here Melly says, I learned from life. Okay. And Kimberlyn says that it was self-inflicted. Very good. Now, those are two young ladies taking total responsibility, right? You could have said it was Grandpa and everyone would go, yeah, well, that makes sense, right?
Yeah, I learned from you, Pop.
Yeah. And or you could say it was your mom or your dad or or your brothers and sisters or whatever, right? I learned from life. Yeah. All right. So the whole thing is, we talked about it a lot today, both at our lunch or our dinner, but even more so, Kate and I on our way home and everything, is about how when I was starting out making all these changes that I had to make in myself, it wasn't easy.
Yeah.
Right? It wasn't easy. I grew up thinking I was a very ugly human being, physically, right? That, big ears and buck teeth and all this stuff, right? And so no self-esteem. How do you go from having zero self-esteem to liking who you are? Anyone on this program, I'm sure, could tell you that that's one hell of a journey, right? And it is, and it's not easy, because when your mind is feeding you all that garbage all of the time, you can get beat up and you can forget, right? And when you start beating yourself up, you can think of a million different reasons to beat yourself up. And then you become a self-fulfilling prophet. If you've got that mindset that you're a loser and there's no way you can possibly create the kind of life you want, you're right. You're right.
Yes.
But if you surround yourself with people who love you, who tell you all the time how awesome you are, pretty soon your mind starts to go, now, wait a minute, not all of these people can be wrong, right? There must be something wrong with my filters. There must be something wrong with my vision, right? Though I've never read the book, there's a book called A New Pair of Glasses.
Yes.
And without reading the book, I would be willing to bet a large sum of money that the book talks about seeing life differently, right? There's not all these problems in life that we need to drown our sorrows in, or use drugs to escape from, or sex, or food, or any of the things that we do to negatively nurture ourselves, right? And when you start feeling better about yourself, you look better. You've got that smile on your face that, everyone can see, right? I think I've told the story about walking out of an office supply store one day, and a woman walking up to me stopped me to just say hi. And I said, well, hi, how are you? She goes, great. I just needed to stop and tell you how awesome it is to see somebody who is truly happy.
Nice.
It shows on your face, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's so rare. But that's what happens as we start to turn that ship around, right? Now, we talk about this often, about how it's the same thing, whether it's diet or whether it's stop drinking or stop smoking. We've got a dear friend who recently quit smoking, and, hooray to her, right? Awesome, way to go. Because as I told her, that is an act of self-love, right? And if we don't love ourselves, how can we expect anybody else to? They might think in the beginning they love you, but if you keep convincing them they're wrong, after a while, they're going to start to understand that maybe they're wrong, right? So that's not what we want. We want people to want to be in our lives. I've told family members in my past and friends that I only want people in my life who want to be there.
Yes.
I don't want any hostages.
That's right.
And with all humility that I can muster, I must tell you that for a number of years now, on my birthday, I get just a tremendous amount of Facebook posts and texts and phone calls and emails from family and friends and associates just wishing me a special day on my birthday. And I think it's awesome when you can touch people's lives like that. And it's one of the great graces that God has given me in my life, is to be able to help people in a significant way. And so that's what I want for all of you, because I consider you all my family, even those of you that haven't met me yet, or I haven't met, right? You're my family. We're all in the same race together, right? We're all
Yeah.
God's children. And so my role, I want to do what I do, which is this and the whisper work, which means so much to me. I want to do that until the day God calls me home. Right?
Yes.
Because God, it's such an awesome way to live, you know? When I know that every single day I get an opportunity to make somebody's life just a little bit better. Sometimes it's just a smile. Sometimes it's a joke, and I tell jokes all day at work, right? I tell jokes all the time. And it makes a difference, right? And when I get people that actually start wearing whispers, now you started wearing two now, right?
Yep.
We're going to get you a balancing going here soon, right? Whisper world, whisper, whisper. There we go.
Jose loves when I do that.
Yes. And because I know what happens when you start wearing them. All right. It's a subtle thing. It's not like, well, for some people, they put them on and it's like, oh my God, right? They just notice a tremendous difference right off the bat. But for many people, it's just more subtle than that. It's just that little calm feeling that starts to envelop you, right? And that sense of chaos and drama and trauma just starts to melt away. And as I was sharing last week about my friend who got reintroduced to the world of chaos and negativity, and for 3 hours had to listen to it, and he says, oh my God, I can't even stand to hear it anymore, right? Because he knows it's a better way now. And that's what we talk about here. A better way to spend your day. Oh, that's a nice little saying, isn't it? A better way to spend your day is to be positive. And in fact, I was at my church on Sunday, first time in ages, and it felt so good. It felt like being home, right?
Yeah.
And the subject of the day was seva, service.
Okay.
And service is about doing for other people with absolutely no agenda.
Yeah.
Nothing about it for yourself at all. It's just to help make somebody's day better, right? And when you practice that, your whole life changes because there's no hidden agenda to everything that you do, right? It's like you selling houses. You don't have a hidden agenda that you're going to make twice as much profit than you deserve to have because you want to have that extra money, right? Your agenda is all about helping that family or individual or whatever the case might be find a piece of property at a good value that is their dream.
Yeah.
Right? You help them realize their dream. That's what the Positive Power Hour is all about.
Yes.
If you don't have a healthy self-esteem, don't feel bad. Don't feel alone, right? I don't know of anybody that opens up to me even this much will admit, everybody admits that their self-esteem isn't what they'd like it to be, or that they worry too much, right? Everybody tells me that. And I used to think it was just me, right? Because most of us live that Walt Whitman saying about the huddled masses living in quiet desperation. We go to work every day. We do what our bosses want us to do, whether we like it or not. And we're kind of like brain dead. We're just going through the motions of doing what it is we're supposed to do so we can go home and start to live our life again. It doesn't even sound good, does it?
No.
So we have to start at ground zero, right? We have to take that vessel that God made perfect that we've kind of trashed, both our mind, our emotions, and our body, right? Mm-hmm. We haven't taken care of them like we should, right? And when we start that self-love, it's like you never have to go on a diet anymore. You just don't eat as much, right? You don't have to struggle in not drinking because that's what you did when you hated yourself. You don't do it when you love yourself, right? Not smoking is an act of love, self-love. You're taking care of that vessel God gave you, right? You're honoring him by honoring yourself, right? You're
Yes.
becoming more of that image of God within yourself that radiates out, and people can feel it, right? You've been around people that are charismatic, is a word we use, right? They've got that glow about them, right?
Yes.
Those are self-realized people. They understand who they are, right? They're not perfect. They don't pretend to be, but they're happy with who they are, always striving for better, right? No
Yep.
matter how good we get, we can be better. And that's the fun thing if you look at it in the right way, rather than that, person that actually batted 500 when most people only bat 300, right? And they're mad because they quit batting 500. So, it's being able to bat 250 and be happy that you didn't bat 100, right?
Yeah.
So, it's really about mindset, right? Like Kate saying, I worried for nothing,
Yes.
right? What a great
98% of the things that you worry about never happen anyway.
never happen. And yet we give it so much energy, right? Wow. We do that. And all of us do it, right? I do it, you do it, we all do it. But the idea is to shorten the amount of time that we do it and the intensity with which we do it.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Good one.
Yeah. One of my favorite sayings, the girl's all right.
No, I was putting my whispers back.
Ah, very good. Very good.
They're just fine. Thank you for
they're
asking.
fine. Well, that's good. I'm glad. Yes. Now I totally lost where I was going with that. But when we start to self-love, you have to be patient and gentle and kind, which isn't going to come natural. Right? It's going to be really hard in the beginning. It's like for anyone that smoked and quit smoking. Those first weeks or months can feel like total agony, right?
Yes.
But then once you get past that, you start to notice the food tastes better. You don't smell so much, right? You don't even notice cigarettes when you're smoking. You don't notice the smell or anything, right?
Yeah.
But boy, when you quit, you notice it like crazy, right?
Yep.
Well, it's the same kind of thing with your mind. If your mind has been undisciplined, which, let's face it, everybody's was, or at least everyone we know, right?
Yeah.
It's going to be really hard at first because the mind's going to rebel. Have you ever tried to sit and meditate? Oh my God, your mind will show you exactly how much it runs, right?
Yeah.
Meditate. It's like, no, I ain't doing this. No, we're not doing that, right? So that's the worst of times is when you're trying to meditate. That mind will show up, right?
For sure.
But we have to practice and be gentle and be kind, because you've been beating yourself up for so long and in so many ways that's what your soul is used to. It's used to that beating you give it all the time.
Yes.
Right? And when you stop doing that, in fact, one of the most common phrases you hear from people when they first decide to make big changes in their life is how uncomfortable they are when things are quiet.
Yes.
Because they're so used to the chaos. That's the mind. All right? If it isn't positive that you're getting from your mind, you need to take responsibility and train your mind to think the way you want it to.
Yes.
Just like training a dog or training a horse, right? We talk about the dog whisperer. We talk about the horse whisperer, the dog whisperer. There was somebody that's called the house whisperer, right? Yeah. Talks about how you can, get your house set up the way you want it so that it's calm and peaceful for you, right? So I call myself the mind whisperer because that's what I do when I'm around people, is I help them calm down just from being in my environment, right? from wearing whispers and from the work that I've done on myself for 150 years now, right?
That's all.
That's all, yeah.
That you're older than that.
So, so again, yeah, right. You have to be patient, but persistent, right? You can't let the mind get away with anything, because left to its own devices, it can take you to places you don't want to go. And as we go back to this little saying right here, spending a few years of your life like most people won't, so you can spend the rest of your life the way most people can't. Now, in all honesty, I have not reached the level of success I would like to in my business. It's the one area of my life that I have to give the most energy to, because it's not where I want it yet, right? But my daughter will tell you, my wife will tell you, my grandchildren will tell you that I do live my life the way most people won't, or the way most people can't, because they haven't been willing to do the front work, right? Because they've been taught things like take a pill. Depressed? Take a pill. Angry? Take a pill. Feeling depressed? Take a pill. You're feeling manic? Take a pill. Things not going the way you want? Take a pill. Take a drink. Take a cruise. Get away from it all. Well, no matter where you go, there you are, right? You can go to the Philippines. You can go to Hawaii. You can go to Mars. You can go anywhere you want, but this thing is going to go with you. So if you don't do it now, why not?
Yeah.
Why not? What are you waiting for? Do you like it the way it is? Do you like that mind that's constantly being your worst enemy instead of your best friend? What are you waiting for? It's only scary in the beginning, right? It's like everything we learn. At first, I think we've talked about the stages of learning before, haven't we, Nicole?
I don't know.
Okay. Well, it goes like this. When we first start trying to learn anything, we're unconsciously incompetent. We don't even know what we don't know yet. Right? So we are like a blank slate. We have no freaking clue as to what it is we're trying to do. All right? That's where most of us start with our minds, when God turns that light switch on and goes, hey, get out of the darkness. Let's get into the light. Okay? That unconsciousness that we live in, that quiet desperation that we talk about so often on our show, right? So that's unconscious. What did I say? Unconsciously incompetent. We don't even know what we don't know. All right. Then the next stage is becoming competent, consciously incompetent. We are starting to be aware of what we don't know, but we don't have it mastered, right? Then we become consciously competent. We can accomplish the things that we want to accomplish, but we have to really focus on it and put energy to it, right? Then the final stage is when you are unconsciously competent.
Oh.
It's kind of like the great example would be like learning how to drive, right? You get behind the wheel the first time, you have no freaking clue of what's going to happen or what you're going to do or how you do it or anything, right? And you feel like a total idiot because you don't know how to do that, right? Well, you're not supposed to. You haven't done it before, right? And it's that way with everything we learn. But then after you start doing a little bit, you start to say, okay, well, maybe. So you start to say, but I don't know about how I keep the speed the same. And how do I know, how far I should go before I turn the signal on, or when I should hit my brakes, or when I should hit my gas. So that's all mechanical, right? And then finally at the end, you get to where you don't even think you can be driving for hours, and not even realize what you've been doing or why you do it. You just drive unconsciously, right?
Right.
To some degree, you know what I mean? And it's that way with everything we learn. That's the steps of learning. Mm. All right. Everybody goes through them. Nobody goes from first base to home without going to second base, third base, then home, right? You got to go through the steps. Now, sometimes they're really quick and, you can get a 2-base run instead of a 3-base run or whatever, right? But that's how it starts, is you start unconsciously incompetent. All right. And then every week you get to come on the Power Hour.
Yes, every week.
Reminded of where it is you're moving towards, right? We want all of you to have that God-loving smile like Nicole has right now, right? She has such a beautiful smile, doesn't she?
Thank you.
Yeah. And to be happy and to be patient. See, when you learn to be patient with yourself, you become much more patient with others, right? My dear wife, Kate. It was so funny on our dinner that we went to on Friday night. I bought cards, Nicole bought cards, and Kate bought cards. My cards that came from Nicole and Kate were both in a blue envelope. And the cards from Nicole and how'd that work?
No.
The cards that you got both had pink envelopes, right?
Yep.
Now, was it set up that way because of the male-female thing? I don't know. It seemed to me like it was just kind of magic, right? The way it worked. And I'm sure you all do this with your loved ones too, is that you take enough time to read the cards to make sure that it fits how you feel and what you want to express, right? And some of us are better at expressing our feelings than others, right? And some people aren't very good at it at all. But I got the most beautiful card, both from Nicole, and that talked about, that she was, very happy to have me for a father, which, means we need to get some work done for Nicole, right? Things off there. But the card I got from Kate was so nice because she talked about how, we're 30 years into this journey together, right? And the card said that she loves me more today than she did ever, right? And that she is just seeing even more the kindness and gentleness in me and I said, well, does that mean I wasn't kind or gentle before? She goes, no, just even more so. Yes. Right? Which tells me that I'm doing it the way I want to do it, right? I want to do everything with more kindness and more gentleness and more love, everything that I do. And none of us have evolved to the point that we can't grow and be better, right? Mm-hmm. So that's what we work towards. And so it's that way with our mind, all right? First of all, I want every single one of you to remember that you're a child of God. You have that spark in you. And it's not you, your soul, that is punishing you. It's that mind that's supposed to be your servant. It's supposed to do the things you want it to. The problem is you haven't empowered yourself yet, right? They talk about in particular places that we visit once in a while, Nicole, about that we were powerless.
Yes.
We had given up our power. We didn't realize who we were. We didn't realize what being a child of God really means, right? We think we're that slug, that imperfection, that we are so special that God screwed up on us, but he didn't on anybody else, right? Now, being responsible means that you recognize that you're a child of God. And that because you are that child of God, there is nothing, if you put your heart into, that you can't experience. Now, I've put a caveat on that before, and I'll remind you again. You can want to be a center for the LA Lakers, but if you stand 5'2", I can promise you're not going to get there. Right? So you got to use your smarts a little bit too, right?
Yes.
But if it's within your grasp and you give it that energy, there is no reason why you can't achieve what you want to achieve.
That's right.
And as Kobe Bryant, the late great Kobe Bryant, would talk about, that it isn't about winning the championship. As much as you might think that's all he cared about. Where the real joy came from was the process.
Yes.
The process. Richard can tell you that from his baseball life, is that he had to learn skills before he could expect success, right? So you have to go through that hard learning course about making sure you throw the ball the right way and you get your footing right when you're catching the ball, and all of the different things that you have to learn in sports, right? That's the hard part. That's the beginning. That's the living a few years like most people won't. The getting up early before you go to school to learn some things you need for baseball the night, that following evening. You get yourself up early to do it when most people would just rather stay in bed, right? So if you decide to do this journey, which I don't know why in the world you wouldn't, because I can tell you that it is an awesome destination, right? But it's the process that I've loved the most. It's learning how to love myself. It's learning how to care about others even more, right? And the cup is never empty, right? It's like you can't outgive God. The more I try to help others, the more he gives me. It's amazing, right? And the joy that I get to experience on a daily basis, on an hourly basis, in every day of my life, I get to have that kind of joy that I never got to have when I was so empty.
Yeah.
And when my mind was beating me up so bad. I try to fake it like most of us do, right? I was the only one that I was fooling. In reality, right? So that's the power hour for tonight, right? I want to remind you, baby steps, okay? When you catch your mind giving you information that you don't want or you didn't ask for, say, thank you for sharing. Now, here's what I want you to think about. I want you to think about, how can I get to my next step? What do I need to do? Because the mind has it all already. And it's just like a computer. You just have to put in it's like that little search bar on the bottom of my computer right here, right? All I have to do is put in that search bar what it is I'm looking for, and the computer pops up that information. Well, it's the same thing with your computer. This one, right?
The noggin.
When you're having a challenge with something, have you ever had that time where you're trying to think of like somebody's name, right? And you go in and you're like this, and you're like, oh God, I what is his name? I can't remember what his name is, right? And you just go on and on and on about it, right? What I learned, the best way to handle that is to simply say, okay, my mind will bring it to me, and quit thinking about it. And within a matter of seconds, usually that name will pop up and you go, oh yeah, his name is da-da-da-da, right? Problem solving tip, right? How do we get that information that we're looking for?
Right.
And by the way, Google's a nice way to do it too, right? You can ask Google anything.
Hey Siri.
All right. So for the power hour tonight, our homework assignment.
Oh.
Yes, our homework assignment is to pay attention to what your mind is feeding you this week. And what that was that caught your attention. What was that thought, right? It's like we're driving on the way down to the hospital, and Google said it should take 45 minutes. And about half an hour before we were supposed to go there, Kate said, we should have left earlier. And I said, and what good would that do now? Right? We can't change it, can we?
Nope.
So, and we got there right on time. Of course, right? And that's what happens is when we're out of that crisis drama, I shoulda, woulda, couldas, all of that kind of stuff, you get to be in that process that Melinda's talking about here. You have to fall in love with the process. And I know she's talking about Richard with baseball, right? You have to fall in love with the disappointments. You have to fall in love with the fumbles. You have to fall in love with the strikeouts. You have to fall in love with the bad throw, the bad catch. All of those, you got to fall in love with all of it, or else it'll eat you alive. And that's kind of what happens in life. It's why some people just cross short circuit and give up, right? Life can be tough if you let it. Life can be tough if you don't have a positive support system.
Yes.
Right? Most of us, when we're struggling, we do it backwards. We think that when we're struggling, we need to isolate because nobody wants to know about our rough time, right? When in reality, that's when you need your friends the most. And if they're your friend, they're going to be there for you. If they're not your friend, you'll know real quick.
Yes.
Right? Because suddenly somebody just called and you have to take the other line.
Yeah.
So pay attention this week, all right? Pay attention to what your mind is feeding you. And what is that constant message that you get that is self-defeating or abusive? And then think about how you can change that for yourself. And then bring us your wins or your losses next week. Let us know what you experienced, all right? Because as I mention on here all the time, you don't know who's going to read your comment that might be reading exactly what they needed to read that moment, right? So I really appreciate when you guys share. It's really important for everybody else too. And for those of you that admit to worrying, let's see if we can't cut that worry down. What do you say? 10%? Is that too much, Nicole?
That's a good start.
Good start, 10%. If you can kind of pay attention to how frequently your mind is giving you that garbage that you get, and you can cut that down 10%. Just imagine if you could do that for 6 months, cut it down 10% each month.
Ooh.
You'd be 60% non-worrying, right? How cool would that be?
Very cool.
Yeah. And as I said to my wonderful wife, Kate, today, if Dan can do it, anyone can do it. Because this old guy ain't nothing special. All right. He's just a guy, just like everybody else. I just had to be willing to do for a few years what most people won't. Most people won't take the time to train their mind so that I can spend the rest of my life like most people can't. And I've told you this, I know, Nicole, and I know I've told Kate that so often I feel like the cat that ate the canary, right? I walk around living my life in a way that few people will have any clue about, right? And it's such a joyous way of living, and I want it for everybody, of course, but knowing that they have no clue, right, about what it took to get there, right? Remember, I had a noisy mind. It wouldn't shut up. It was the most negative thing you could possibly imagine. I looked like Alfred E. Newman. I've shared that story with y'all, right?
Yes.
I'm the geekiest looking dude in history. And I had, physical trauma, right? Being all cut up to where, I was scaring people in the waiting room, right? Those are the things I had to work through. It wasn't magic. Now, wearing the whispers helped a lot, right? But I had to do the work. So I'm more than happy to walk this journey with you. In fact, it's one of the greatest experiences I've gotten in my life is watching my friends, clients who become my friends, is watching them live a higher quality of life because of simple little things that I can share with them, right? And that's something that I shared with my brother-in-law. I've got a brother-in-law who's extremely successful in life. He does quite well. But he will tell you that the greatest joy he gets is in helping people less fortunate. It's a big contributor to Ronald McDonald House, and they do all kinds of charity work. And just recently, he started his own nonprofit organization to make sure that people that were working in some of the areas that he is involved with can have health insurance because the companies didn't offer it for him, right? So that's the kind of person that he is. And we were talking about how the great grace of the things that we've been through in our lives is giving back.
Yes.
And that's what pleases me the most, is that what I went through was really hard. But oh man, it was so worth every bit of it, right? And that's what I want to say to you as we wrap now. We actually went the full hour, Nicole. How about
A little
that?
over. Yeah.
Here, before we say goodbye, you said special to me, and I'm not sure what that meant.
You said you're not anything special, and she said special to me.
Oh, I get you. Well, goodness, no, you know how I feel about you too, right? You better. So I love you very much. You know how special you are to me. We got to have some wonderful talks through our years, didn't we? Huh? Yes. All right. So for Nicole and myself, I want to wish you all an awesome week. You know, one of the great things about Easter is that it's about like renewal, right? And Jesus coming back to life after 3 days, right? And all that entails. Well, you get a chance to be reborn every second.
Yes.
You don't have to wait till Easter. You don't have to get on the cross. In fact, get off the cross. We need the wood, right? And let's make this the best year of your life, starting right now. So,
Right now.
Nicole, as we wrapped up, what did you say?
I said right now.
Yeah. As we wrap up right now, if you were to see somebody that didn't have a smile, what would you do?
Give them one of mine.
And why in the world would you do that?
They're free and it feels great.
Yeah. All right. So if you see somebody without a smile, give them one of yours and see what happens. You'll light up their life. Right? We love you all, and we look forward to seeing you next week. So from the same bat time, same bat channel, we'll see you then. Bye, everybody.
Bye,
Take care.
everybody.
We love you.